Actors bring us so much joy. They can make us laugh, they can make us cry. They can also make so much money and have so much privilege that they no longer understand how to function in the real world or how to connect with other people. You'd be pretty surprised by the kinds of on-set demands actors like Tom Cruise, Marlon Brando, and Wesley Snipes have had during their productions. Then again, maybe you wouldn't be surprised. We've compiled a list of actors who had such insane demands on set, we just had to share them with you. You're welcome. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise has had his fair share of unfortunate publicity in the past couple decades. Still, you have to admit, the guy's got chops. Aside from his acting talents, he's so committed to his insane roles that he'll perform any number of insane stunts. From the Mission Impossible series, he climbed the tallest building in the world, drove a motorcycle at top speed, performed an actual halo jump from an airplane, and learned how to fly a helicopter, doing stunts that would give even the most seasoned pilot pause. Yes, Cruise is insane, but he does it all to entertain the masses. Hip hip hooray! But whether he's jumping across buildings, scaling a mountain, or dangling from some airborne vehicle, Cruise wants to ensure that he's as comfortable as possible. Thus, the infamous G-string. That's right, people. Tom Cruise wears thongs. But not just any thongs, mind you. No. Mr. Cruise has a wide range of specially made thongs that allow him the maximum amount of comfort and flexibility to perform all of these amazing stunts. I mean, how else would he be able to run at those top speeds? And look, when you save the world as many times as Tom Cruise has, you can wear whatever undergarments you like. Uma Thurman. What Uma Thurman wants, Uma Thurman gets. I mean, have you seen Kill Bill? That woman is fierce. We don't want to be on the other end of that katana. We need our limbs, thank you very much. Seems like a number of film productions have taken Thurman's katana-wielding skills to heart because they've bent over backwards to accommodate her needs. In fact, during the filming of Eloise in Paris, she made the specific request that no other cast member would receive more favorable dressing rooms. Oh, it doesn't stop there, dear viewer. Oh no. Thurman's Eloise in Paris contract also dictated that she had the right to veto any decisions made by her co-stars, and even the film's director. Don't you question her, or her katana. George Clooney. George Clooney is one of those human beings that doesn't age. This begs the question, is he even really a human? The world may never know, but what the world does know is that Clooney is a phenomenal actor, especially when he plays Batman. We kid! Please don't hurt us. Seriously though, Clooney's career is one that would make any actor jealous. He's been in small-scale dramas like The Descendants, zany comedies like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and super suave capers like Ocean's 11. He even played a stop-motion fox in Wes Anderson's wonderful Roald Dahl adaptation, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Is there anything Clooney can't do? Well, apparently the one thing he can't do is function on a film set without the most lavish trailer space on the planet. You might be familiar with Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity, in which Clooney and Sandra Bullock play astronauts fighting for their survival. Clooney might have only appeared in the film for a short time, but that didn't stop him from making insane demands during its production. Not only did he insist on having a basketball court and a full garden next to his trailer, but he insisted on having a beach hut too. Yeah, an actual beach hut. Why did he need all this? We can only assume he's still hurting from the whole Batman and Robin fiasco and that these items are the only things that bring him some semblance of comfort. Either that or he's just crazy, probably both. But hey, who are we to judge the greatest Batman on the planet? Marlon Brando. Oh hey, speaking of crazy, how about that Marlon Brando? Now look, we're not saying Marlon Brando wasn't one of the greats. He really was. From A Streetcar Named Desire and On the Waterfront to The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, the guy has given a number of incredible and iconic performances. But sometimes, being one of the most talented and in-demand actors on the planet can result in some pretty deplorable and absurd behavior. Brando knew he had the acting chops. He knew he was hot stuff, and it was this knowledge that inspired some of the most bizarre on-set antics we've ever heard of. You might already know that the guy demanded cue cards be placed on the cameras surrounding him. This way he wouldn't have to memorize his lines. He was also known to arrive to set without pants for any scenes in which the bottom half of his body wouldn't be seen. Hey, I mean, why not? He also made huge demands regarding his appearance in Richard Donner's Superman. He was paid $3.7 million for his brief role, plus nearly 12% of the box office gross. When he first met Donner, Brando suggested that he envisioned his character, Superman's father, Jor-El, as a suitcase or a bagel. As interesting as that might might have been. We're grateful Donner was able to convince Brando otherwise. But perhaps the most bizarre stories come from the island of Dr. Moreau's doomed production. Brando made ridiculous demands, such as wearing an ice bucket on his head and forcing the production to include his new friend, a dwarf, in every scene Brando was in. We'll get back to you on whether or not the dwarf had to wear pants on set if Brando wasn't wearing them. We gotta look into that one more. Val Kilmer. This seems like the perfect time to bring up Brando's The Island of Dr. Moreau co-star Val Kilmer. Another one of the greatest Batmans on the planet. We're so sorry. Kilmer is perhaps one of the very few actors who could give Brando a run for his money in terms of odd on-set behavior. Like Brando, Kilmer's serious misbehaving was a result of his realization that he was a hot commodity, though maybe not as hot as he thought he was. During his time filming The Island of Dr. Moreau, Kilmer developed a reputation for being horrible to the crew members. It wasn't just name-calling and verbal abuse either. Rumor was that he actually burned one crew member with a cigarette. The film's director, John Frankenheimer, had nothing but terrible things to say about working with Kilmer. "There are two things I will never do in my whole life," said Frankenheimer. "I will never climb Mount Everest, and I will never work with Val Kilmer again." Even Brando had something to say on the matter, stating that Kilmer was confusing his talents with the size of his paycheck. Batman Forever director Joel Schumacher also chimed in on the Kilmer conversation, calling the actor childish and impossible. Schumacher actually got into a shoving match with Kilmer on set. In 1996, Schumacher told Entertainment Weekly he was badly behaved, he was rude and inappropriate. "I was forced to tell him that this would not be tolerated for one more second. Then we had 2 weeks where he did not speak to me, but it was bliss." Yeah, that's not good. Sounds like Kilmer won't be stealing the Greatest Batman Forever award from Clooney anytime soon. Maybe the two of them can talk about their Batman experiences in Clooney's beach hut, huh? And while we might not have any complimentary undergarments to offer, how about the next best thing? Click that subscribe button to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest content we're releasing daily. Plus, you'll be the first to know if ScreenRant does start releasing branded G-strings. Spoiler alert, we probably won't. Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck's career started off strong with films like Dazed and Confused and Good Will Hunting. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, however, he hit something of a slump. I mean, this is the guy who starred in both Geely and Daredevil in the same year. It's amazing he's still standing. But thanks to some strong directorial efforts, such as Gone Baby Gone, The Town, and Argo, as well as a number of impressive recent performances, Affleck's career has regained its respectability. But that's not to say Affleck isn't prone to making the kinds of demands only a big movie star type would make. Take Gone Girl, for instance. Solid movie, right? Plus, it's directed by one of the greatest directors, David Fincher. Affleck actually helped Fincher with some of the casting choices. Actually, it was only one suggestion. Affleck asked Fincher to cast model Emily Ratajkowski in the role of the woman Affleck's character is having an affair with. Ratajkowski had just made a mostly nude appearance in Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines music video, but we're sure this had nothing to do with Affleck's wanting her in the movie. No, nothing at all. And hey, want another bizarre Affleck anecdote? Apparently, Affleck absolutely refused to wear a Yankees cap for one of the scenes in Gone Girl. The guy's a diehard Red Sox fan, and he saw wearing that hat as a major betrayal to his fandom. His refusal to wear the Yankees hat actually shut down production for a few days. Hey, at least he has his priorities straight. Let's hope that when Clooney and Kilmer invite Affleck to their Batman beach hut, they're not wearing Yankees caps. Shia LaBeouf. That's right, we'd be remiss to not include actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf on this list. LaBeouf is another actor whose career started strong, then hit a bit of a snag due to LaBeouf's personal struggles. Now thankfully, he seems to be on the upswing and he's doing some of his finest work in films like Honey Boy and The Peanut Butter Falcon. But let's take a look back at one of his most bizarre productions. In the midst of LaBeouf's existential turmoil, he starred in David Ayer's film Fury. Fury follows U.S. tank crews in Nazi Germany during World War II's final days and co-stars Brad Pitt, Logan Lerman, and Michael Pena. It's a great cast, but no one was as devoted to their part as LaBeouf. He was so determined to understand the mindset of a World War II tank gunner that he made a couple of, interesting choices. First and foremost, he refused to bathe. His reasoning was that his character wouldn't have access to clean water in these particular circumstances. He also had one of his teeth pulled out and decided to scar his own face with a knife when he determined the makeup effects weren't realistic enough. Hey, you've got to admit, the guy's committed to his work. Maybe a little too committed, but committed nonetheless. Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is well known for his on-set antics. Can you imagine acting across from him in a comedy and trying to get through a take without breaking character and laughing? Anyone who's capable of doing so deserves a special Academy Award. We're looking at you, Jeff Daniels. While Carrey started his career in ridiculous comedies such as Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, and The Mask, in the late 90s, he began appearing in more serious fare. Films like The Truman Show and Man on the Moon. In Man on the Moon, Carrey portrayed legendary comedian Andy Kaufman. Kaufman was known for his controversial, often baffling comedy bits, which would go on to inspire a number of comedians. Are you a Tim and Eric fan? Cause you have Andy Kaufman to thank for that. Carrey took the portrayal of this comedy legend seriously. He took it so seriously, in fact, that he decided to go full method for the role. He demanded to be addressed as Andy for the duration of the shoot, and caused all manner of frustration for the cast and crew. Even more bizarre, he claimed to be channeling the spirit of the real Andy Kaufman. He actually met with Kaufman's real family to have a conversation with them as Andy, which seems wildly inappropriate. If you're interested in seeing the extent of Carrey's on-set antics, be sure to check out the excellent documentary Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond. It's streaming on Netflix. Gary Busey. Ah yes, Gary Busey. Another actor whose career, like Kilmer's, picked up steam in the 80s and 90s and then fell into obscurity by the turn of the century, and hey, they look kind of alike, don't they? Seriously? Are they long-lost brothers? Should we set up a reunion for these two? Let's get this trending. Hashtag Busey Kilmer reunion. Make it happen, people. One look at Gary Busey, his wild eyes and his crazy hair is enough to confirm that this man is absolutely terrifying. There's no doubt this dude totally nuts on set. But perhaps the weirdest story comes from his 2003 film Quigley, in which he plays a business tycoon who meets his demise in a car crash and ends up reincarnated as a dog. No, we're not making that up. Seriously, look it up. It exists. On second thought, maybe don't look it up. We don't want to ruin your day. So in the film, Busey's character ends up in heaven for a brief time, but Busey was extremely dissatisfied with the heaven set. You see, Busey insists that he actually knows what heaven looks like. Back in 1988, he was in a motorcycle accident that left him with a horrible head injury. It was during this event that Busey got a taste of heaven, and because of his expertise on the subject, he refused to do any more filming until the set was corrected according to his demands. Specifically, he asked that all mirrors be removed because apparently heaven doesn't have any mirrors. Who knew? Wesley Snipes. And finally, we come to Wesley Snipes, the day walker himself. Snipes had a relatively fruitful career through the 90s and early 2000s, but with Blade Trinity, things took a turn for the worse. The third and final entry in Snipes' Blade trilogy is undoubtedly the worst of the bunch, and the production was plagued with all kinds of woes. Snipes' behavior was one of them. In an interview with the AV Club, comedian and actor Patton Oswalt talked about his own personal experiences with Snipes on set. According to Oswalt, Snipes would refuse to come out of his trailer, and when he did, he would remain in character, answering only to the name Blade. For the most part, though, it was Snipes' stand-in that performed in many of the scenes. What prompted Snipes' bad behavior? Apparently, he was so unhappy with the production's choice of director, David S. Goyer, he was determined to make everything as difficult as possible. He even refused to open his eyes for one scene. In post-production, they had to use digital effects to open Blade's eyes for the shot. Too bad they couldn't use digital effects to improve his performance. Zing! What say you, Screen Ranters? Does this change everything you thought you knew about these actors? Are there any other great, ridiculous actor stories we neglected to mention? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest and greatest info in the entertainment world.